The city is on the verge of transformation. We've had much more of a setback in the last year, and the food industry has seen its fair amount of change, but always seems to find a way to serve us. And oh, how many great foods are out there. So I decided to set out and listen to their stories and showcase some of their craft. We look through the lens of our community's best culinary experts. The original site of Albuquerque, Old Town. Glossy cars, live music, an endless amount of graphic t-shirts. It's not only a hotspot for tourists, but holds deep sentiments for Burqueños. One of its oldest commercial establishments, Duran's Pharmacy, shares a new kind of experience for the community.
I came in to interview to be the manager of the gift shop. They interviewed me in this building, which had been closed since the pandemic had started. And I was just looking around, and I said, what's going on with that coffee shop? Are you going to open that back up? And they're like, oh, we're not sure, we might not. You know, it's hard in this, with everything going on. And I said, well, can you just tour me around it? I saw a convection oven in the back room, and I said, what's going on there? It's full of dust. Like, you haven't been closed that long. And they're like, yeah, it never caught on, no one ever wanted to use it. So I think we'll give this a few more minutes at low temperature to make sure the inside is firm and not doughy. And I said, you know, even if you just baked cookies in there, the smell is just amazing, and it would be really impactful for your business. I kind of laid out on the fly of, hey, this is what I would do. And, you know, we talked about it, and they said, well, maybe you're the person to open it back up.
Duran's ownership fostered this space, which in turn allowed a space where creativity can grow. But the reopening was stifled with a public health order put in place. At this point, all they could do was wait and start practicing. When you make scones, you pre-cut them before you bake them. So we bake everything here ourselves, had to see what worked and what didn't. And so we spent the first couple of months making things that were not great and some that were spectacular. And so we kind of took that time to hone our craft on that. There are times that I'm bringing things out of the oven, and by the time I go to set it down, each thing on that tray has sold. Because people are just like, oh, what's that? Which is wonderful. I mean, who doesn't want something fresh? Everything that comes out of that oven is locally bought.
That's been an interesting part, is to learn what you can make and what you can't, and what to bang your head against the wall with and what not to. Today I'm making a lemon lavender scone, and I went so far as to segment the lemons, boil them, mush them, get them in with sugar, make a simple syrup, strain it, and then steep lavender from Los Poblanos in it. And then that's mixed in, and then it's also going to be used to glaze the scone. Tea comes from Teography out of Taos, and it's really lovely and fresh, and there is a tea called Sandia Rose. And so what I've done is I steeped a bunch of that tea so it's nice and dark, and I'm going to reduce it with sugar and make a rose syrup, and then I have rose petals. I'm going to make a tea cake with rose and see how that goes. I've never made it before, I have no idea how to make a tea cake, but I'm going to fake it.
And he also inspires his employees.
Also, don't tell him this. I told him about the rose. Just kidding.
Really?
Barista today, Jared, makes beautiful things yesterday. And so it's that fun moment where you're like, wow, what's that? You know, what was your inspiration for that? You know, and that's something I think is really fulfilling, hopefully for them, is not just, oh, I'm going to show up to work and Matthew's going to make this and I'm just going to make the coffee. And they all do enjoy making the coffee. There's a great artistry involved there. But to give them another opportunity to have a kudo. You know, when customers come in and go, oh my gosh, it's nice to not be the only one having to do it. And it's nice to be taught by my team members, you know, things that I may not have thought of, you know, and I'm always open to interpretation. I'm always open to collaboration. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy that part.
Remini Coffee holds a big part in the local economy, outsourcing their roasted beans from VM Coffee.
They actually were integral in opening this coffee shop a couple years ago, before the pandemic and before all that. We bought our machine from them. They help us service it. What's really interesting about Via Miriam, number one, they roast only about 2 miles from here, right on, their roastery is around Broadway and Lomas. So we can just run over there and see the coffee being roasted. The other thing is that they own the farm in Colombia that produces the beans. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. Those beans come from their farm to their roasteria, and then they roast specifically for different people. I know that they do for many other restaurants and coffee shops in the city.
This coffee is criminal.
Honey, you killed the petunias.
Along with personalized coffee shops that have popped up, Matthew educated me on the different evolutions of coffee houses.
Try Folgers. Never bitter, never weak, always nice and rich, because Folgers coffee is mountain grown.
So first wave, we would think of U-Ban and Folgers, the stuff we get in the can our grandparents drank.
Folgers coffee.
Second wave, you'd think more of Starbucks in the old days, not in the mass-produced days. But the Italian style of very dark, smoky, intense espresso. So that's second wave, and that really took hold in America in the 80s and 90s. Third wave is very interesting, and it's similar to what's gone on with craft beer, craft cocktails. It has that feel, so it's lighter. It has more citrus notes, more fruit notes. It's meant for tasting, whereas a lot of espresso is very almost flat and dark. This is bright and lively, and we pair different things and we prepare it differently so you can actually taste the coffee instead of covering the coffee up with syrups and different flavors, just trying to get the caffeine with a different flavor. This is coffee for coffee's sake. So this is almost the connoisseur's coffee.
One thing is for sure, Albuquerque is an epicenter for craft creations, including its coffee scene that bloomed in the last decade.
It's a very new way of doing it. It's a really cool progression of taking coffee shops from just needing that caffeine and sugar to an experience. So that's what we're trying to do here, is create an experience.
Having experienced generations of coffee houses, Matthew understands the essence of how a simple cup of coffee can build a community.
There wasn't much talk about second wave and third wave until I got here about 5 years ago. And it was an interesting, like, oh, okay, each of the independent coffee houses that I went to, like Little Bear or Michael Thomas, I was like, oh, okay, so this is the new thing. The way that they craft the drinks in third wave is very different. You're weighing out the shots, you're dialing in, as they say, and making sure that your shots taste a certain way. And it's very intricate, and it's making one drink at a time and doing one complete thing, crafting one excellent cup of coffee before you move on. Even if there's 5 on the order, you're actually getting one at a time because each one is being crafted by a barista who's trained. I grew up in Olympia, Washington, which is the 60 miles south of Seattle, in the 70s. And coffee houses, before coffee became super mainstream, and people will remember this, older generations may remember coffee houses from the 50s on, and it was always kind of a cool bohemian, place where you'd come and read, or you'd do your homework, or you'd meet your friends and all of that. And that is something that's super important to me. Customer service is just as important as the product I'm putting out. So I wanted to create a place that people could stop in, they would be recognized, they'd have that moment, and it could be the best part of their day. If they're just going back home to work on a Zoom call or deal with the kids, they at least got that 10 minutes to come in here and be coddled and taken care of.
With the possible loosening of restrictions, it gives more concepts to create a closer-knit environment for people to come to.
Perhaps in the summer do live music on the patio, like acoustic music and pop-ups and collaborations with maybe food trucks, or maybe expanding our food offerings to beyond baking. So there's a chance.
For now, I tried out their lemon lavender scone that Matthew mentioned, cultivated not only by Matthew, but a numerous amount of fresh ingredients from every desirable corner of New Mexico. Surprisingly enough, this year has been fruitful for this up-and-coming food truck.
Nosotros tenemos mucho ya en la comida mexicana. Y esto originalmente viene de Tijuana.
Birria y tacos Alex Tijuana style is a new local favorite.
Vinimos de vacaciones aquí el año pasado y vimos que no había mucho esta comida.
Chaires Rodriguez and his wife Yvonne cooked in LA and Arizona for some time before finding a new home here.
Hacer esta comida es comida fresca, todos los días la hacemos, acabamos temprano y nos vamos.
And they've made quite the name for themselves.
Y no porque lo diga yo, o sea, porque lo dice la gente. O sea, la gente nos ha recomendado, diario gente llega de Los Lunas, de Bernadillo, de Santa Fe, nada más vienen a la birria.
Some even come as far as Colorado just to try it.
La birria tiene varios procesos. Primeramente es carne de la mejor, carne de primera. Y luego ya siguen muchas especias, varios chiles, varios tipos de chiles. Y se marina un día antes.
Their birria recipe is a family secret, but what we do know is that it's made with carne de res, a type of beef not like their traditional way of making lamb. And he made this decision because of the taste. The tortillas are specifically made by a tortilla company. They didn't say which one because it was their secret. But it's the yellow tortillas that they use that makes it specific to Tijuana style of birria. And as a food truck, it also makes it ideal for COVID-safe practices.
La gente viene, compra y se va. Todo con reglas. Nosotros usamos cubrebocas, usamos guantes. Si no traen cubrebocas, nuestros clientes no les vendemos, porque es para proteger a la gente y a nuestra gente.
True to the fashion, we enjoyed our tacos from the car. I wanted to get the opinion from my good friends, who know a thing or two about Mexican cooking.
Man, I love how you could tell they pay attention to the small details of their business.
They're very detail oriented.
That's insane. Cheers, buen provecho. Wow.
Is it better than your mother's cooking?
No, but it's delicious. Wow. This is, wow. I've never tried birria with the res cow, but this is delicious. How does it taste different? Maybe a little saltier. It honestly maintains the softness that the food usually, it's delicious. You could tell they slow cooked it throughout the night, like they said. You could tell just the meat dissipates in your tongue. So delicious. 10 out of 10.
So I moved from California and I was trying to find really good tacos that were authentic to, Mexican flavors. So I did what any millennial would do, and I went on Facebook and Yelp and I tried to find the best birria tacos in Albuquerque, and I came across this place. If you're looking for genuine Tijuana style tacos, I 100% would recommend this place because it's just so good. And it's very true to the flavors of Mexico, it's not Americanized.
So what is consomme?
Is the juice that comes out of the meat marinating, right? When you're cooking it, it creates a broth.
This is really good. It's not too spicy either. It's
It's just good enough.
yeah. You get a little leftover bits of meat.
Birria.
Yeah. All right, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad was my Spanish?
10 being the worst?
Yeah. 10 out of 10?
No, I'll give you more props. Maybe 7 or 6.
I said gracias a lot. Does that matter?
That's generous. I'm gonna have to go into negative. No, I think, have you been practicing?
No.
One thing about Americans is that we love our meat. It's like a part of our pastime. Grilling up in the backyard. Good old barbecue. But as New Mexicans, we hardly see barbecue around here. Except for one man who is well known.
Well, that's a little bit right there. A little fire in there. Make sure everything stays nice and hot and toasty. Man, I've been here all my life. You know, it started off at a hospital, and I've been here ever since. I just love it. I love Albuquerque. Albuquerque is my home from birth to however long I'm on this planet. Albuquerque is my home. This old man took me up under his wing, him and his daughter, and he asked me if I wanted to learn how to cook. And I was like, sure, why not? And so he taught me the basics of cooking. And from there, you know, it just stuck.
And it's a practice he would hand down to his family.
My son works with me. My daughter works with me. So, you know, yeah, it is a family-owned business.
And family-friendly food. My earliest memories growing up here, I would remember Theo cooking at some sporting event of mine, something you rarely see nowadays.
We used to do a lot of events. So we were at this event, that event, week to week, all these different events, gone. Just like that, silence, you know, so we've had to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and just keep on going. We started out slow, so going back to slow, we already know what it's like, and we just keep on going.
And their new location allowed them space to focus on more of their taste and fall off the bone meat.
Would you like to branch out more? Kind of like spreading your barbecue gospel around the city, so to speak, I guess. I don't know.
Well, between everybody that we work with, you know, the whole entire family, you know, we were doing things, we'll be at 2 different places at one time and stuff like that, sometimes 3. But that was hard. You know, like say for example, you said branch out. The further you go out on the branch from the center, the weaker everything gets. And this has brought us back home. This has tightened up our game to where we can be better at what we do.
His juicy grilled to perfection starts with raw meat. Trimmed, cleaned, and marinated with seasoning is proof that his process is taken with care.
Barbecue is truly one of those sports that you cannot rush it. You know, you can't rush it. You have to find the right balance for you, the right time for you. That you have to kind of, you know, you have to know and read the meat that you're cooking to see if it's ready to let go and give you its tenderness, or it's just not going to give you its tenderness at all, and you just have to wait and see.
The work ethic is shown through the meat, the perfect texture and taste all around.
You don't throw the meat on the smoker, you place it on the smoker. You know, any barbecue show that you see, it's like they're laying a baby in a, you know, well, that's kind of but they're laying the meat down
with love.
With love.
Yeah.
You know, you'll never see no barbecue guy. Ha! All right there, boys. No.
His deep appreciation for feeding Burquenians for many years has made Theo a local legend.
My passion is making sure it's done right. And when it's done right, people come back.
That's a lot. Thank you. Appreciate it, Theo.
I wanted people to enjoy the size. I wanted people to enjoy the taste. I wanted people to enjoy the cost. I wanted people to enjoy when they walked up to the window to be welcome, because they are welcome. Everybody is welcome just to be able to make it, I guess in the proverbial sense, to be able to make it in Albuquerque, to be able to make it, especially during these times where, you know, there is a lot of very uncertainty, but people have still come out to support me in what I do. And I appreciate Albuquerque 1,000% if you could measure it like that.
The architectural magnificence of Notre Dame bespeaks majesty from any angle.
Another local legend around these parts has taken root here, but he's not exactly from here.
I worked in pastries when I was in France to earn money during the summer vacations. Why don't I come to you and, with you to Albuquerque and help you guys? And he said, oh, come on down.
Studying business in France, Jean-Pierre had an understanding of how to operate one.
I found an opportunity to open a small restaurant in Old Town, so I learned a few things along the way.
Living here since 1975, he's earned the respect of many. And settling down on Gold Street made it known.
Oh, people love it here. It's a quaint little spot, segment of Paris, so to speak, in Albuquerque, so they like it. The people who have traveled to Europe like the place because it reminds them of places they've gone to in France.
But with the changing of tide, Gold Street has seen many businesses close.
When we open 100%, I can plan on pretty much the type of business I'm gonna do. I know my weekends are gonna be busy and the weekdays are gonna be somewhat busy, somewhat not so busy, but I have a pretty good idea after having been in this location for I started my number 6 years. So I know pretty much what to expect. Right now, I have no idea.
Just listen to me. Everything going to be all.
With Le Troquip as one of the remaining businesses operating, they've also seen their fair share of adjusting to public health orders. Neighbors next door, at Hartford Square, felt the brunt of this during the pandemic. They had to shut their doors.
Looking at this street, Gold Avenue, the businesses that are kind of
dead.
Yeah.
Some have closed, as a matter of fact. There is no one on the street, basically. The street is empty. Yeah, I do whatever I can to survive and to learn the new ropes, so to speak. It's not easy, especially for my staff. Try to keep everybody busy somehow, but it doesn't happen. We're able at least to reopen. We need to be 50%. I probably could survive. If not, I'm gonna have to ask help from my landlord.
I'm sure on some level we'd all jump at the chance to turn back the clock. The pain and adjustments collectively had made this year a dark time. But it is pleasing to see that our food industry can make it out. And it's because of their unwavering service that we still can enjoy a basic necessity of life. Whether it's eating on top of cars, on the side of the road, or treating family to a home dinner. From the people who make it, to the people you share it with. Food is a gift. If you have a restaurant or business you'd like to showcase, email burquebitestv@gmail.com.